Hey guys, this is Andrew at Sick Gaming, and today what I want to go over is installing and setting up a local server on your PC for testing and installing mods. Um, these techniques are also going to work for hosting a server on a dedicated host if you have, ports forwarded on your router so that players can access a server on a machine in your home, or you've rented space from a provider like OVH or Vulture. I'm not sponsored by either of those. These are services that I have used before in the past to do testing. I've set up servers for people with some hosting space that I had for testing purposes in order to, allow players to see what was happening before, they committed to actually starting a server. So using this local instance right here, you'll be able to do that for yourself. If you want to start a DayZ server and you want to start playing around and learning how to do it, then what you're going to want to do is head right on over to Steam, and in the top left corner of your Steam library, make sure you've got Games and Tools selected. With Games and Tools selected, you'll now be able to see DayZ Server down here under DayZ. DayZ Server comes free with the purchase of DayZ, and I assume we all have DayZ purchased and installed on our PCs. So go ahead and click on DayZ Server and hit that install button right there. I've already done it. And this is going to install DayZ Server to your local directory, which, if you haven't changed it, is C Program Files x86, Steam, Steam Apps, and Common. If you have changed it, you know where your Steam directory is. Head over there, and you should now see a DayZ server popped up. Now, this DayZ server is not going to have this server dz.config or this start.bat file. Both of these files we'll go over today. I'll show you how to make them. I've actually got them on my Discord available for your download, and you can follow along with those files and this file structure. You're going to be working out of this server. I'm not, because this is a different project. What I do have though is I have YouTube examples right here, and I have the same DayZ server folder, and we can run DayZ server right out of here as we have the server x64exe right here. Okay, now that we have DayZ server installed and we've headed over to the Discord channel and we've downloaded the start.batch file and the server dz.cfg file, move those from your downloads folder, just copy them and paste them right over here to the root of the server, and we're going to control select both of them, right click, and edit with Notepad++, or Notepad or Virtual Studio or whatever you use for text editing. Your favorite text editor is the best editor that works for you. Mine is Notepad++. It's got some really cool plugins in regards to XML tools and JSON tools. I like to use the integral JSON and XML tools inside of Notepad++ before I move forward, but we'll get into that as soon as we get this server started up and configured. So, first thing you're going to want to take note of is the very top line is named host name. That's where we're going to name our server. Each of these different parameters do something different, and I have included the definitions from Bohemia Interactive Studios to explain all of them to you. I'm not going to go over them all today. We're just going to cover the things that we need to cover to get our server started up. So, first thing you want to do is name your server. I've named this one Sick Gaming Example, and you're going to want to choose a password for the admin that's something hard to guess. If you guys want to try and jump on my local network and hack this, it's only available for this video, so good luck. Set this to something that's hard to guess so that players aren't trying to hack your in-game admin tools and grief other players, spawn things for themselves, such like that. If you want to set a password so people can access the server, you would set it in this line right here. We've got our server named though. We're going to go ahead and save this, and that is the only thing we need to make sure of before we start our server, because it comes configured with DayZ Offline Scenarios Plus. So you go ahead and name your server, hit save, and head over to Start Batch. The first thing we're going to do in Start Batch is we're going to just set this as the same name, and this only names the batch file. That names the program that pops up, and that way in your task manager you can see, the name of your server running there, and you can end it if you have a problem. Make sure that your file's location is pointed to where your server is installed. So, our server location is C program files, yada yada. I don't have this labeled to YouTube example because that would have messed you guys up, so I left this labeled just as it was if you installed it on your C drive straight from Steam. Now we don't want to mess with the server port unless we're going to use a different server port. For this example, we can leave everything here the same. Make sure you have, a server config assigned to server DayZ config. This sets the config file. Bang bang, and we don't need our mod list yet. We just need to make sure that we have our config file set, our location to our server folder is set, and our server name is set. Once we have those three in order, the only thing you should have to change is the stick gaming example here. Make sure to hit save. I already have both of these saved and they're ready to go. So once we have those saved, go ahead and double click start.bat, and you'll see this window pop up here, and it'll say Sick Gaming Example started, waiting for 14,382.180 seconds. Press a key to continue. You don't want to press a key here. If you press a key here, it's going to stop your server. Right now our server's running. It's reading the mission. And this is going to go through the scripts in the game and start the game up, start the server up, and make it accessible to the ports that you've made accessible on your computer or your game host or however. For this example, we're just going to test mods on our local PC, so everything's working just the way it should. Let's go ahead and minimize that and head over to DayZ. We can get rid of that window too. So we don't have any mods. I'm just going to clear my mod list really quick because it's something I like to do before I go look for another server. If my computer decides to function, thank you. I was using editor last. Head over to servers and click on local area network all the way to the right, and your example name should pop up. Now mine popped up example name because I have it pointed to my Steam directory. And it is named example name there. So that is why it is showing on my PC as example name and not the name that we set in the server. But if we click join, obviously my ping is really high. I've got a few programs running right now. I'm trying to run DayZ servers, some recording, and DayZ at the same time. We'll be able to click and join our vanilla DayZ server without mods. And we're loading into our server. We didn't have any errors. It's just a vanilla game. I have pre-constructed a few files to simplify the process and take out any guesswork. And included definitions so that you can further configure to your needs or your server's needs. But here we have spawned in journals. So again, don't mind that, this isn't vanilla starting gear here. Your character, you'll probably have vanilla starting gear, as your INC file is, vanilla gear. But again, this file is in my Discord and it is pre-made and ready to go. This is all vanilla gear in the game. You've got your M65 jacket, your cargo pants, some boots and gloves, and a hat. Once you get on the Discord, you'll see the different channels, and you'll see the different things that we're going to go over in the future. If you would like to use that starting gear, you're more than welcome to. Again, it's in the Discord. It is the inetc file. That file belongs in our missions folder for Chernarus. And here's the inetc file. And I have included a comment section right here. You would copy everything from that inetc file from there down to here. And paste that over the inetc file in your MP missions folder in your DayZ server folder. So you would go to your C drive all the way to your Steam directory. To your MP missions, Chernarus Plus, inetc, and it's in this one as well. Again, all we're doing is we're going to comment out from here down is the vanilla starting gear. That's how it would spawn in vanilla. And this is a simple snippet of code that we've placed in here to place our own starting gear. And if you want more things, you can copy more of these lines right here. And paste more in. And change this to whatever type's name out of your types.xml file. If you have mods already installed on your server, you can use the class names from your mods. If you have custom starting gear, you can put those class names in here. These are all things that we'll go over. We'll go over creating custom starting gear out of these items right here. We'll retexture the vanilla items in a later video. Put a server logo on them, include some basic starter stuff. You don't have to include these things. I just did this for not so much a PvP server, it's a PvP PvE server, but they at one point had a problem with fresh spawn camping, so we decided to put some just a little pistol in with I'm actually going to not save that. Put a little pistol in with our starting kit. Okay, so now that we've joined our server and we verified that it works, let's go ahead and head over here to our batch and let's strike the any key, and it is continued. Now if you wait for 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, it'll restart the server. Basically what we've just done is we've stopped our server and now we've restarted our server. So make sure that you stop your server and close the batch file before it restarts. Now we're going to install Vanilla++ admin tools and community frameworks on our local server. So we'll head over to our Steam directory, Steam Apps, Common, and what I'm going to go ahead and do is I'm going to go ahead and open DayZ in a new window because we're going to need that workshop folder there. Now if you don't see the workshop folder there, head up to View on Windows 10 and Hidden Items. On Windows 11 it's a little bit more intensive. I'm not 100% sure on how to do that on Windows 11. I'm pretty fond of Windows 10 and I haven't changed yet, so judge me if you will. It works for me. What works for you works for you. If you're on Windows 11, you'll have to do a quick YouTube search to figure out how to show hidden files in your file browser if you haven't already done so. But you do need to show hidden files so that you can see the workshop folder to install mods on our DayZ server. So if we go ahead and open our DayZ server folder here, we're going to want to install a couple of mods. We want to first go to Steam and subscribe to the mods that we want to install. So head to DayZ in your Steam library and click on Workshop in the middle of the page there. If your window's minimized, you won't see it. You have to click the drop down on the side, maximize the window, click the workshop, whichever works for you, and we're going to search for Vanilla++ admin tools, and if you're on relevance, it should pop up first. Head down here and go ahead and subscribe. We've got some additional required items. Community Frameworks is a dependency for VPP admin tools, so we'll go ahead and we'll subscribe to that as well. And this is going to start some downloads right there in the background. Awesome. We can close that. Head over to the workshop. See if we have. We don't have Community Framework yet, so what we're going to do is launch our DayZ game, and this is going to update our workshop folder with the mods that we just subscribed to down in the bottom here. Okay, now that those mods have installed, let's come back to our common folder and reopen DayZ. Make sure we're in the root folder of our server here. Over in your DayZ folder, head to Workshop and come down and let's find Community Frameworks. Should be in here, and it's not. Okay. That's okay. We'll head right down here to VPP. And we're going to copy the VPP folder and just paste that right into the root of our server. This apparently didn't do Community Frameworks for me, so I need to go back into Community Frameworks. And it did not. Okay. We'll subscribe to Community Frameworks. Relaunch DayZ to download Community Frameworks. And when DayZ downloads the Steam mod updates, it'll pop up green, say Community Frameworks was installed, just like it did for VPP. Alright. And the same thing, highlight Community Frameworks, copy it, and let's paste that right over into the root of our server. So now that we have two mods pasted into the root of our server, we now need to do one more step, and that is to go into the keys folder inside of the mod itself. So just double click on the mod and double click on the keys folder, and we need to copy this key, and right here in the keys folder we need to paste it. And then we need to do the same thing with Community Frameworks. We need to go to the keys folder inside the mod, copy the key that the author has provided with us, and then go back to our keys folder in the root of our server and paste the key in place. Once we have completed both of those, I am really quickly going to change this name to what we're using right here so that you guys can see that name change. Does work. Save that there and set a random crazy password so that the hackers can't get our admin tools in game. Now that we have both of our mods, Vanilla++ Admin Tools and Community Frameworks, pasted to the root of our server after subscribing to the mods, if you are already subscribed to the mods, I highly recommend deleting the mod out of your workshop folder, going to Steam, unsubscribing from the mod, resubscribing and doing it again. What this does is it manually updates the mod to the most recent version. That way you don't get a client has a newer version of the mod, please wait until the server updates error. If you use an older version of a mod on your server and one of your players updates their mods before your server updates the mod, they won't be able to join the server. So I do recommend, when you go to install a mod to your server, delete the mod first out of your workshop folder if you already have it, and then resubscribe to the mod in Steam and restart DayZ and let it reinstall. That way you get a fresh copy of the mod that is up to date to the most recent update that the author has provided with us. So we've got our mods copied, and we've gone into the keys folder of each of the mods and we've copied the key out of the keys folder, and we've pasted it into the keys folder in the root of our DayZ server. So there we have Jacob Mango's key and Vanilla Plus Plus key. Now that we have two mods loaded on our server, copied onto our server with their keys in place, we need to tell the start batch file to load these mods. So we're going to edit our start batch file in Notepad++, and down here on line 19 is start, and we have a mod parameter and a server mod parameter. This is our client mod list, and this would be our server mod list. Some mods you can use as a server mod, and the client doesn't have to install them. In that case, you would list the mod here. But for these mods, we need our clients to install them as well. So what we need to do is we need to copy the name of our mod, whether you do it from the workshop or from your server. Doesn't matter if they're named the same, but I recommend copying from the server. Copy that name and paste that right there. And we need to put a semicolon behind it. And then we need to do the same thing for community frameworks. Soft click that, copy it, and paste that right there. Mod order a lot of times has a lot to do with whether or not a server will load. I recommend loading frameworks first, admin tools last, and everything else in between. If you have a map mod, you want to load the dependencies for the map mod first, and then the map mod. That way, things load in the order that they were designed. So if VPP admin tools needs community frameworks to run, we should probably load community frameworks first, so that VPP admin tools can find everything it needs and just prevent ourselves ahead of time from having an error. So we're going to save that start batch file, and we're going to head back over to our Steam directory. I keep closing out of it because I just keep closing out of stuff. And in our Steam directory and DayZ server, we want to hit that start batch. As soon as this dialog closes, we'll see it right there in the bottom. And if you want to watch it start up, you can sit here and watch it run through its scripts. It's not necessary. I do, however, sometimes like to arrange this somewhere else. I usually put it on my second screen, but I'll leave it running for us. And if we head over to DayZ, we should be able to see our server start. So before you want to join this server, Vanilla++ needs, there's our Sit Gaming example right there. Vanilla++ needs to start the server and stop the server so that you can configure it. What it does is it writes the files to the server that it needs for user configuration. So now if we head back over to our server and pay attention to our server DZ config, pay attention to our start bat server config, we should have a profiles equals config. So we need to look for the config folder in the root of our server, and here we'll find scripts that'll tell us a lot about our server. If you double click on one of these, it'll let you know what's going on in that particular log. This particular log will show you each of the scripts as they load. Scripted variables corrupted upon entry will not be loaded correctly. We're getting ready to run through the configuration of Vanilla++, so I'm not concerned with any script errors in VPP right now. What you're going to want to do is double click on Vanilla++ admin tools, and inside of Vanilla++ admin tools you'll have a few different folders. We're going to pay attention to permissions, and then we're going to go to super admins, and inside super admins.txt you will see remove this text and add your Steam 64 ID. Each ID entry on a new line, no spaces, no commas. So what we need to do is head over to Steam and grab a copy of our Steam ID. I am going to make sure we don't have any white space in there, and save our Steam ID. Once we have our Steam ID saved, sorry that took me a second to get to, we need to go to credentials.txt, and this file is your admin password. This gives you instructions on how to change your password if your password is lost, how to set a new password. So what this tells us to do is to select the whole folder, and we're just going to name this password test, and replace the contents of this file with your new password, save it, and then restart the server. What Vanilla++ will do now that you have saved that file and restarted that server, if you go back to your config folder and your Vanilla++ permissions folder and open credentials.txt, as soon as Vanilla++ runs and loads, it will encrypt that password, and you will no longer be able to see it. It'll be a long, crazy, multiple numbers and letters and symbols, and you're not going to understand what it is. And all you do, if you forgot the password, is delete everything in the file and do it again. So that's what it's changed our password to. And in case of lost password, delete the content of this file you're reading, write a new password on the very first line, save the file, restart DayZ server. So that did exactly what it was supposed to do. Let's head over to DayZ and log in as a VPP admin and make sure that installing our first mod worked. Every mod that you want to install from this point forward will work the same way. You will copy the mod from your workshop folder after you have updated it from Steam. You will paste the mod into the root folder of your server, and you will copy the key from the mod's key folder to your server's key folder. And then you'll add the mod name to the start batch file and start your server. And once your server fires up, you can test your mod to see if it works. And if it works, you can move on to the next mod. If you want to change that loading time, you can do that in the two files that I have provided for our server setup. As soon as we get out of here, I'll show you how to do that. You can change it down to 1 second if you want to load in really quick. This is just for testing. And you can set it to whatever value you need it set to for the purposes of your server. So Vanilla++ by default, if you strike the end key, it will prompt you to enter the password. We will enter our test password and click OK. And login information successfully logged in as an admin. If you strike the home key now, you'll be brought up with the Vanilla++ admin tools menu, and you'll be able to see things such as player manager. You'll be able to give your players God mode or yourself God mode, heal yourself. You can adjust values and apply them, and it will start to bring that player's values up to that level. We won't go over all of the features in Vanilla++, but this is just to say, hey, our test mod worked, and it looks like it's loading all the items in the game. Very nice, very nice. You could select different things here. Let's go find So, Vanilla++ works. Hello. We've got you trapped in the fucking building. And you can change the exit time as well, just like you can change the loading time. Emissions, Trinaris Plus, Database, Globals XML, and you'll be able to modify time login and time log out to a value that suits your needs. There are a bunch of other values in here that can be modified, but we're going to go over that in a separate video. Today we just want to focus on making sure we got our server started up and we're ready to run. So now that we've got Vanilla++ and Community Framework installed and we've changed our login time, let's go see what that does. See, now we have a 5-second loading time. And this will get you in and out of game a little bit quicker for your testing purposes, or if you want to implement this on your live servers, and this is something you can implement on your live servers for your players, get them in and out of game quicker. That decision is ultimately up to you. That's not a decision that I make for you. But we'll get in here and we'll go ahead and log out real quick, and we'll move on to the next part of our video. Probably. Now we've turned our admin tools on, we're back in here. We can do admin things. Like, your player's got a problem at Green Mountain, and we need to get over there to help them out. So we go right here. Let's just run through this military building real quick to see, so there we go, backup iron sights, a little bit of ammo on the table here. So this is a vanilla server. There are no mods. We haven't edited any of the types XML files or anything like that. That's something that we're gonna go over for both console and PC. These video tutorials here aren't just going to be strictly limited to PC. There's some things that you're going to learn from this for console as well. Once we get inside the MP missions folder and we start taking a look at how to take those, we got a Colt here. Start taking a look at how to modify the text files in the game for loot placements and what loot spawns where. There's a lot of in-depth detail that can go on inside of here. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to hit the exit button real quick and verify that we do have a 5-second exit timer there. I'm going to go ahead and shut this down now so that we can move on to the next part. And we're going to take a look over at GTX Gaming. Okay, so now that we've got a local instance of DayZ installed on our PC with Vanilla++, admin tools, and community frameworks, what if we want to move these configuration files to, say, our GTX host? So you head over to GTX and you go ahead and you set up a service with GTX, and when you get to your home screen after you set your service up, you'll have a page similar to this right here. So you're going to go ahead and click on your service, which this is the service that we're going to use here. My friend Nemesis OG89 has given me permission to use his GTX test server for purposes of shooting this video. So from the home screen, again, just click on your service and it's going to bring you to a page, your user area, client area. At the bottom of this page you'll have an auto login to control panel. You'll be able to click on that and it'll log you into the control panel, and once you get to the control panel you'll be at this page right here, and this is as it's configured out of the box from GTX. This is a running server on Chernarus, and it is vanilla. There is nothing added to this. We go to our file manager, we'll see a pretty similar structure to what we have in our server, with the difference being server DayZ config is config.cfg, and our start batch file is non-existent. Our config folder is SC. So let's go ahead. This is a running server. It is on Chernarus. If we go to our missions folder here, sorry guys, Chernarus Plus. On the left hand side here you've got a couple options. You've got a configuration files, you've got updates, mod manager, map packs, file manager, log viewer, Steam update, a bunch of different tools that GTX has on hand ready for you to use and navigate easily. We're going to go to the Steam Workshop and we're going to search for community frameworks, and we're going to go ahead and we're going to click install on community frameworks. Just that simple right there. GTX is going to install community framework and restart our server for us. They will write the mod line, install CF to the root of the server, and put the key in the keys folder. If you want to change a server or a mod from your mod line to your server mod, you can do so in configuration files, and as soon as we're finished up with this, we will go through that because we haven't set a server name yet. And there we have our workshop file successfully installed. And now we have community framework on our server. So if we head right back over to the Steam Workshop, and we can do the same thing with Vanilla++ admin tools. And when using GTX, don't grab the Russian translate, of course, unless you read and understand Russian pretty well. That's a Russian translation of Vanilla++ admin tools. We're going to scroll down a little bit and we'll find it right down here. And go ahead and hit install on that. And this will do the same thing. And what you'll notice when you finish this is in the server config folder, there'll be a Vanilla++ folder, and you'll be able to access your super user groups and your credentials.txt file to edit your password for your admins and to add Steam IDs to your admin groups. We won't be going over creating admin groups in Vanilla++, that's a different video, but we will take the file we created in our Vanilla++ config folder here, permissions, super admins. We will take our super admins text file and upload it to our server so that we have the same Steam IDs in our admin list that we had when we installed our local server. Okay, now that that's complete, let's head over to our file manager. And if we go into server config, we can see Vanilla++ admin tools has a folder now. Let's go ahead and head to the control panel and stop the server really quick. There's a couple of changes that we need to make. Maybe I didn't click that properly. Now, once the server stopped, there are two ways that you can name your server. Obviously, you can edit the config.cfg file right here in the root of the folder. with your server name. We're not going to do it that way today. We're going to use the configuration files tab on the left of our interface here. And here you can edit the start.batch file. If you hit the config editor there, you'll have, launcher sync and server messages, admin logs, whatever you want to log, FPS limits if you need to enable FPS limits. Our config.cfg, we can do either text editor or config editor. Config editor is the simpler version. It doesn't show all the code like it did in our server DayZ.config, but this writes the server name the same way. So for this, we're going to call it NOTP test server. Now, a good friend of mine, Jerome, Nemesis OG89, has allowed me usage of his GTX host test server here that we have to do this YouTube example for you guys. I hope Jerome set up his Pripyat server, Night of the Purge. So if you guys are inclined, I'll include a link to the Discord below, and thanks to Nemesis OG89 for allowing us usage. Make sure to click Save and Exit when you close these windows if you make changes that you want to stick. A huge shout out to Nemesis OG89 for allowing us usage of his GTX gaming server. We've got a Pripyat server running and a little test server putting together something else for a future date. And today we found ourselves reinstalling the server, and he was cool with me using it for a little bit to shoot this video for you guys. So now that we've saved that configuration file, we can refresh this. Let's go ahead and head over to our file manager, and in our server config folder, we're going to head to Vanilla++ admin tools, permissions, super admins. And this super admins text is the same one that we edited earlier. We're just going to drag it over like that. Just grab it, drag it, and release it, and it'll copy to our server. Boom, boom, refresh, and there's our updated timestamp. Now we can go back to our control panel and hit start. Okay, so now that we've uploaded our superadmins.txt, we can see that it's put our Steam ID on our GTX game host. Let's go ahead and head back over to our DayZ server on our local PC, MP missions, Chernars Plus, and database folder. Remember this XML, globals XML file we modified earlier? Let's go ahead and upload that as well, so that our login and out times are carried over from what we did earlier. And just like any file that you would change, whether it be a file for a mod you've installed or a file for the game XMLs here in the missions folder, you would just, like you did the admin's text, you would grab that file and drag it in place. Give it a couple of seconds to do its thing and hit the refresh button. And that updated our values for login time, lockout time to 5 seconds. Let's head over, restart the server to apply the changes that we've made. And then we'll head to DayZ. And we're going to direct connect to our server again for the first time. Again, I direct connect to my servers for the first time. But what I do is I head over to mods and I clear my mod list. And in this case I've loaded community frameworks and vanilla++ admin tools, because those are the two mods loaded on our systems. If we head over to servers and direct connect, we can paste our IP address in here, and if you put a password on your server, like when you named your server, there's a slot for a password there. If you put a password on your server, you're going to want to put that in here. And go ahead and hit the connect button. As long as you've installed the correct mods, loaded the correct mods, you'll connect to your server. We'll hop in game really quick and we'll make sure that our admin file updated properly. And there we go. Our global's XML updated. We've got a 5-second loading time. Server. And our admin tools are properly working. Here's my username if you guys ever find me in game. You can find me on Discord. It's the same name. You'll find me on Discord if you join the Discord link in the description below for the Sick Gaming Discord channel. I'll have copies of all the files that we went over today available in the Discord for you, and we can discuss any issues or questions you might have regarding the things that we've gone over today. Let's just verify that our admin tools are working really quick. Go ahead and get that. There we go. On our own PC, we've set up a vanilla DayZ standalone server and installed vanilla++ admin tools and community frameworks, which was a required dependency of vanilla++. The zombie was moving around rather quickly there. Time to sus. Always looks like a player when they dart like that. And then we've gone to GTX and we've gotten a little test slot from them. We've got, this is a 10-slot service, I think. And we've installed the same mods, vanilla++ and community frameworks, and we've been able to join both servers, one on our local area network, and now one public to the world. Or as public as you make it with the password and the configs. And I haven't updated the inetc file with the file from our local server, so we don't have our starting gear like we did in our local server. But there we go. Hopefully you guys have learned how to install a DayZ service and get something in vanilla form running, install a simple mod. Next week we'll go over configuring a couple mods. We'll probably install we'll do a weapon mod and a thing mod, and then some stuff moved over our type files. Make sure that everybody's up to speed on something that has loot in it, something that you're going to use or your players are going to use, not just an admin tool or a framework for mods to work. If you guys have any questions, feel free to hit me up in the Discord. Leave a comment below. Don't forget to like and subscribe if this helped you out at all. We had our 5-second loadout time there, so our global's XML did indeed work. stay tuned for our next video. We'll be going over XML configurations here in the database folder. You've got a types file, an events file. Our globals file and our economy file are important too, but we'll only mess with those once really, maybe twice. You're not gonna, once you get those set, you kind of have those set. But we'll go over some things like map group proto, map group POS. We'll go over the inetc file a little bit, CFG weather, gameplay, and how to enable the CFG gameplay file if you want to use the CFG gameplay file, how CFG event spawns works with events, how to get things spawning on your server in places that you want them to spawn. Until next time, enjoy your DayZ adventures.